Welcome to the overview for Data Storyteller Maps. Much of what we went over in the intro tutorial applies to maps. This tutorial is mostly about features that are specific to maps, and we'll be glossing over features that we discussed previously in the intro tutorial and are common to both charts and maps. In this case, I've already applied Data Storyteller Maps to my layer, but if you had not done that, you would come down to the Effects menu, select Data Storyteller Maps, drag that onto your clip, and then you'd see that here in the Effects Control window. And at that point, you would click Setup, and that will open up the Data Storyteller app. Now, I've already uploaded a file here. It's a partial data set, including some of the states for the 2009 unemployment numbers. Once I click Continue there, and then you would come to the chart type, and in this case, I'm using the US map. If you had a data set that was for the entire world, you would click World Map, but in this case, we'll click US Map and continue on. For the US, map supports states or counties. In both cases, you can use FIPS codes, a standardized numeric reference using government data and elsewhere, or you can use the state names or county names if it's for a single state. If you're showing counties in multiple states, you need to use the FIPS codes. Many states have counties with similar names, so names by themselves don't work. For world maps, you can use FIPS codes or the country names. The country names need to be spelled certain ways, and you'll find a reference on our website. For example, you can use USA, United States, or United States of America, but US of A, America, or something like United States of America, the, won't work. We've seen some very interesting ways of referencing various countries in different data files. The spreadsheet works the same way as it does in charts. However, the controls in the spreadsheet section are very different. You'll see channel drop-downs, and these must be set up correctly. They are the equivalent of dimensions in the charts plugins. Either FIPS or names has to have a value. You don't need both, but at least one of them has to be selected. And in this case, we've selected column A because that is our FIPS code. And then you need to tell Data Storyteller what values that you want to use. And in this case, we want to use the unemployment rate for the state. And so we will select column G here. And you can see that you can select any column you want. It does have to have a numeric value in it, but column G does, so we're good with that. And step 4, like it does in charts, shows the preview window. In this case, I've selected a black background with white text and white borders. And if I scrub the timeline, we can see what our data set looks like. Again, this is a partial data set and doesn't have all the states in it. So for the states that we don't have data for, they just show up blank. And the color channel here is critical. You can only use a gradient as we will be mapping the data values to the colors, and each region will get the color that matches the data value associated with that region. So I'm going to select the yellow-red preset. And map lower values to yellow and higher values to red. And you can see that California, which has an unemployment rate of 11.5, is red, while Colorado is orange with 7.9 unemployment rate, and Nebraska with 4.7 is yellow. One cool thing about the color panel is the data value widget. This shows you where your data values are so you can adjust the color points accordingly. So if I pull in the yellow to the minimum data value that I have and pull the red into the highest data value I have, you'll see that that's going to increase the contrast on the map. And of course, we can pull this in a little bit further and make it very contrasty, but usually you just want to have it match up to the lowest value and the highest value. The rest of the panels are mostly the same as they are in the charts plugin, with a couple differences. With the US map, Data Visuals is where you select states or counties. With the world map, it's where you select the map projection. The Data Storyteller manual has more info on map projections, but there are 3 of them: Mercator, Equal Earth, and orthographic, which is a basic 3D sphere. You can also turn on the latitude and longitude line. Also, the scale and position panel has more controls than it does in the charts plugin, especially for the world map, as you can rotate the axes as well as scale and move the map. How the axis rotations work and why they work the way they do is explained in the manual. It's a bit of a long discussion and a bit too long for a tutorial video, but mostly you're just going to want to rotate the y-axis. Rotating the x-axis gets pretty interesting. Otherwise, the maps and charts plugins work the same, especially as far as animation goes. So once you understand that in one plugin, you'll understand it in the other. The legend, titles, and multiple datasets also work similarly. So that's it for this overview of Data Storyteller Maps. Again, it's pretty similar to the charts plugin, but there are some key differences because of the different type of chart that's being rendered. And there are more tutorials on digitalanarchy.com. And of course, if you have any questions, you can always email us at support@digitalanarchy.com. So check out the website, and thanks for joining me, and we'll see you in the next tutorial.